here's our next painting. And because I'm going vertical here, I'm just going to zoom in. You may know the artist, but that's not important right now. Sorry, there's a little bit of glare. And I've done this painting with preschools, and I've done it with college students. And what's our first question? What do you notice? And it's usually about the dog, right? It's usually the dog. And well, what do you notice about the dog? Well, he's sleeping. Well, what makes you say that? Well, he's curled up and his eyes are closed. Any of you have a dog? Does he curl up or does she curl up and close their eyes when they're sleeping? Do they kind of look like that? Now, in museum education, which we try to have people interact too. So if this were a young group, I'd have them pretend they're curling up and closing their eyes to imitate this dog or their own dog or grandma's dog or whatever. But many times we have our students gesture to imitate and interact with the painting. So if it were the ugly painting, which is right here, you might have them stand like those girls, which I have done. I've had people break up into groups, into pairs, and have them stand as those two girls and gesture the fingers on the shoulder. So sometimes when we're doing museum education, it may be doing the pose of a ballerina, or it may be hiking up the mountain in a scene that's a Swiss Alp painting. So think of ways to have people gesture or stance to imitate something. It makes it come alive too. People love getting moving with their art. So what else? So what else do you notice? Next question. Well, it looks like it's sad. Oh, what makes you say that? Well, the colors are very sad and dark, and little kids really get into this, and they're like, it's not colorful, it's not a happy space. What makes you say that? Well, because there's no flowers in the room, and there's no this and no that, and they back it up. And again, I've done this preschool to master students to elders, and everybody has their own take on why this might be sad. And someone might even say, oh no, this is just a bedroom and it's a sunny day out, and that's what they see. So let's take a look. What kind of day is it? What else do you know about this? Well, it looks like it's not really a sunny day. What makes you say that? There's no brightness. There's no well, there's a little bit of brightness. How do we know? Oh, evidence. So what makes you say there's some sunshine coming in? And we can talk about shadows and light and look around the own room that we're in to see if there's any evidence of light. So now we're talking about the dog sleeping. We're talking about what kind of day it is. If the room is sad, what makes you say that? Lack of color. And when I did this at camp with preschoolers, one child said, the dog is crying. And okay, well, what makes you say that? Well, his owner never came home. So now you have a story developing that the child has, thinking that this dog has been abandoned. Well, that is the take on this child, and you can be very cautious to conjure up emotions for a young group that might be very sad. So you can say, yeah, it could be, or he could be sleeping. So you're moving this group around emotionally. So think about that. Think about when something comes up that could be upsetting or disturbing. You can acknowledge it gently. You can dig in more, age appropriate, or you can switch gears too. So also validated in that was that the the child said that the bedspread was dirty and nobody has been there in a long time. So this little child, probably 5 years old, 4 years old, had a lot of information about this. And I didn't do any study about this painting till after. So if you're curious, this is, I believe, Andrew Wyeth. You can look it up and find out more about it. So that's how this all moves along. Sometimes when we're looking at the artwork, it can go from a 10-minute pause, answer, question. What do you notice? What about that? You can travel all around this picture for a long time. I have been taught to really prolong it and really dig in through Lincoln Center, through aesthetic education, which is connected with Maxine Green. She was actually the resident philosopher, part of Lincoln Center, and I got to work with her and I got to meet her. And that deep noticing, the capacity of deep noticing and referencing comes from the work of the aesthetic education. There are other websites also listed on our Moodle with other educational museum education. So check it all out. They all have different things to offer. Visual thinking strategies, VTS, is the biggie that is very structured and has a website. So I'll be posting some of that. And you're going to be getting to use this. Do not be afraid if you are a math teacher. You might pick something that's very geometric and bring it into your classroom and use that piece of artwork as, well, what do you notice? Well, I see triangles and circles, and I say, are they all the same size? How do we know that one is way in the back? So don't be afraid if you're not in the art discipline to use artwork to talk about math. You can use perspective in artwork if you're a math teacher, and measurement. You can really do a lot. The English majors, look at all these narratives of telling a story about that dog on the bed, or telling a story about these girls at the big family party. So we can create our own narratives from these artworks. You don't have to go to the actual narrative that was created with the artist's intention. So have some fun with this. I am going to post some pictures that I'm going to ask you to try this out with family members or friends and practice on that. What do you notice? What do you see in the room? Name it. What do you notice in the artwork? Pausing, taking a long time. It may be a 10-minute engagement. You can push it to a long time. You'll know when it's really, really done, when there's the long pause, they start getting jittery. But taking time to notice is really, really important. To end with, I want to tell you that I went to the Museum of Natural History many years ago with my son, who was in 4th grade. And the group, as a parent, I took them. We zoomed through all the floors of the Museum of Natural History, and they wanted to go to the gift shop, and they did not stop to look. And that's what's happening now with our current technology. Children and students are looking for something that's animated and 3D and entertaining us. We are so used to being entertained that children, adults, I mean, look at us now. We can't even we have to have video for everything. We have to be stimulated. We have to be given the information visually moving. So let's make sure that we teach looking, digging in, and noticing. It's a very, very, very important human educational cognitive skill that if we lose because we're waiting for the dinosaur at the Museum of Natural History to become 3D and growl like it's Universal Studios, then we're losing our capacity as learners and people who can dig, learn, and problem solve. So I wanted to end with that little story because the more and more as a teacher, I'm noticing that we are getting so technologically dependent, even preschoolers, babies, I have a 2.5-year-old who, knows how to dial up a phone and get her favorite video. We have to make sure we still can be unplugged, and we can learn, and we can notice and be human in our environment. With the trees, you can do this outside. With what do you notice around you, with the smells and the sounds and the sky. And so it doesn't have to be totally arts-based, but this museum education piece is very, very important for teachers. Hope you feel comfortable with it. Email any questions and look for the assignment that I'll be posting where you get to try it out. Thanks.